Thomas Frank is set to stay in charge for Tottenham's Champions League game against Borussia Dortmund tomorrow. I mean, what are we doing here? This is a total waste of everyone's time, and I actually have a genuine, quite a bit of sympathy for Thomas Frank in this situation, to be honest. I want to talk about that in this video. Instant reaction to the news that's come out from David Ornstein. Now, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to like the video as well. That would mean a lot to me. Make sure to get involved in the comments and let me know your thoughts as well. I mean, this is just absolutely bonkers. There was so much groundswell on social media last night because it almost seemed certain that he was going to be sacked. I think some of the in-the-know people who have been quite reliable with a lot of other news, to be fair, are still maintaining that he might be sacked after the Borussia Dortmund game. So does that suggest that potentially they're looking at hiring a permanent manager rather than an interim, or someone else that's not Johnny Heitinger, essentially, and they're kind of just taking their time over that? I don't know. Do they look at that Borussia Dortmund game and do they look at the fact that we've got how many players injured, how many players suspended? Obviously, a lot of ineligible players as well. Dominic Solanke can't come back in to the team. Mickey van der Ven is suspended for one as well. And obviously, some of the injuries that we might have picked up on Saturday. Archie Gray, Javi Simmons was seen limping through the mix zone. So do they see this game as a bit of a write-off? And that's why they're giving it to Frank, potentially? But I mean, like I said, I want Thomas Frank to be sacked. I think it's the right decision for him to be moved on. I'm very sad that it's not worked out as someone who was a big backer of him, but this just feels a bit cruel. Like, it feels like the board are kind of just feeding him to the lions as a result of their own incompetence, really. Because I think I'm going to the game tomorrow. Well, at least I've bought my ticket. And to be honest, part of the only reason that I actually want to go is to make sure I get the loyalty points. Like, for away days in the Championship. Am I right, guys? Next year. I don't know. Like, it feels like they're just doing this because they actually have no idea what they're doing. What they're doing, really. It's a total waste of everyone's time. Are they doing it because the optics of starting a new era under Johnny Heitinger would be better against Burnley on Saturday when we've got most of the players back rather than tomorrow? I don't know. I think it feels cruel to put him through what tomorrow could be, because I think the atmosphere will be incredibly toxic. Borussia Dortmund are in good form. I think, have they lost one game this season? They're probably going to get a result against us. And if Spurs go 1-0 down, I think it'll all come out. All the boos will come out. There'll probably be a chance of you're getting sacked in the morning. I'm not saying that that's right, but I think fans have a right to vote with their feet and make their voices heard. And maybe most of it will be directed to the board. But I think Thomas Frank has kind of lost the support of the fans and lost any real sympathy with fans who just want him to go, to be honest. So I don't think there's going to be fans necessarily either sticking up for him, or I think he will still be the target of the toxicity, I guess, tomorrow. And when I say toxicity, I think most people just assume that that's negative. Obviously, it's negative, but I think it's valid. I think people, associate that word of feeling almost unnecessary, I guess. But it just reeks of absolute incompetence from the board that we're in this situation, that we're just keeping a manager because they don't know what they're doing, even though I don't think I've ever seen a fan base more united over moving on from a manager. And it feels like the board have come to their decision as well. Have come to their kind of their conclusion about this. Let's dive into what the Athletic article says. I think I'm logged in. Yeah, Tottenham Hotspur head coach Thomas Frank is expected to take charge of his team's game against Borussia Dortmund on Tuesday. Despite mounting pressure over his future, he will lead the open training session at 2:15 and appear in the press conference at 3:30. That's going to be incredibly interesting, what comes out of that. Pressure is growing on the Dane, with the club in 14th in the Premier League with just 7 wins in 22 games. It's all just, yeah. Vinay Venkatesham addressed fans in a statement saying, "We need to add more quality leadership to compete consistently at the highest level. We know there is a distance." Yeah. Between the club and our supporters are committed to rebuilding the connection. You're furthering that divide with a decision like this. Certainly between yourselves and the fans, and the manager to a slightly lesser extent, because I think that's gone as far as it can go almost. But I mean, could you say that maybe they're doing this because they're looking to line up someone like a Xavi who's out of work, who might take the job? Maybe, and maybe that's why they're taking their time over it. But I don't believe that. I don't. Do you have actually any trust in that? Because I certainly don't. I mean, this looks even more bizarre now, doesn't it? Because if Spurs do go for a new permanent manager, surely he's going to want to bring his own staff. Is Johnny Heitinger going to stay on? I honestly don't know. I have no idea what is going on at this football club. What does a win mean? Like, if we beat Dortmund somehow tomorrow, what then happens? Because we've not seen enough in the league games to believe that Thomas Frank can go and get a result against Burnley. If we can't get a result against West Ham at home, a team that we'd already beat earlier in the season and then lost to at home. Burnley we'd beaten at home earlier on in the season. They've just gone and got a point at Anfield. Like, Thomas Frank has not shown anywhere near enough to suggest that we're confident of getting a result there. So what does a win do? What does a point do tomorrow? Like, what does it all mean? I honestly don't know. The fans want him gone. I don't think tomorrow is going to do anything to sway fans' sentiment back towards wanting to keep Thomas Frank. I honestly think that they kind of just assumed that with how bad West Ham have been, that we'd beat them and it'd be a bit of a turning point. And, you know, Heitinger has come in at such a strange point where it's so toxic. He was someone that they sought after. Frank interviewed apparently before Christmas to replace Matt Wells. And now there is a genuine situation in which if Spurs go for a new permanent manager in someone like a Xavi, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if that happens, he's going to want to bring all his own coaching staff. So what does that mean for Johnny Heitinger? Like, they honestly don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. And I think when Levy left, we all sort of, you know, there was a lot of celebration and stuff. And I think Levy has held us back in so many ways. And I think maybe Spurs will be a better club potentially in the long run for him going. And I think, like I said, he did hold us back in areas. But the way that the club is structured now, where in a more modern way, where there's so many people making decisions now, like, has that just added to this mess even further? Like, it feels like Vinay might just be backing him because, like I said in my video yesterday, because he was at Arsenal when he saw the difficult periods through with Arteta and all that kind of stuff. And also it was his first big hire coming in as CEO, and he wants to kind of, what's the right phrase, fall on his sword and be right rather than do what's best for the football club. And I think with Levy was so incompetent in so many ways on the footballing side of things. But I genuinely do think that he had the football club in his heart and acted in his best interest of the football club at times. I'm not saying he made all the right decisions. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have moved on from him or anything like that. I'm definitely not saying that. But there's not football people running this club still. But now there's no Tottenham people running this club. It's just, honestly, I have no idea what is going on. It's an absolute mess. An absolute mess at Tottenham Hotspur. An absolute mess. And I feel sympathy. As much as I want Thomas Frank to be sacked, I feel genuine sympathy for the guy because he's going to be fed to the Wolves tomorrow night, fed to the Lions, whatever. Like, he could end up just getting booed all night. Like, if we lose that game tomorrow, part of the reason I still want to go to the game tomorrow is because I'm just intrigued as to what it's going to be like. The decision making at this football club is just incredible. Please let me know what you think in the comments. What's everyone saying on socials? Because I'm sure everyone is just as confused as I am. Kish, Vinay and Lang should be gone to. Absolutely incompetent to run a football club of our magnitude. Yeah, it feels like everyone's just a bit out of their depth at the moment, to be honest. Vinay and Enix Tottenham, they just don't have a clue what they're doing. Don't really care if Frank's in charge tomorrow, if we're getting a new permanent manager this season, if we're going for an interim. Keeping Frank makes no sense. Yeah, that's what makes me kind of think, are they going to go for someone permanent? Are they going to go for a Xavi or someone that else might be out of work? It's not going to be Xabi Alonso. I think he'll have much bigger jobs lined up, and I think he'll probably want to wait to the summer after how tumultuous that time at Madrid was. I agree with Josh there. Like, I think part of me does think they're going to go for a permanent manager, but then I still think the optics of keeping Frank in for tomorrow I think it's wrong. I think it's totally wrong, and I think it's unfair on a guy that I've grown to quite dislike as our manager. I don't think it's right whatsoever for Frank to be in charge tomorrow. It's absolutely insane what's going on at this football club. So incompetent. Couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery. And I've backed Lang over some of his transfer decisions, right? I think we've bought quite good players since he's been in, or players with potential. Vinay has spoken so much about building that connection back between the fans and the club, and the PR side of things, and getting the fans back on side and improving atmosphere and all that kind of stuff is one of the reasons where when he came in, I was like, okay, even though he's a gooner, you kind of, maybe let's try and strip that away. What can he do in terms of the job? He's he's got everything basically wrong so far. Everything wrong. He's not understanding the sentiment of the fan base. I don't know what they're doing. I honestly, I have no idea what this football club are doing. Someone please explain to me. It feels so wrong. And I think Frank is just like, the questions that he's going to be asked in that press conference today, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare. This club does not know what they're doing. They don't know their arse from their elbow. I'm just so confused. The only logic I can think is that they're going to go for a permanent manager. And that's why they're keeping Frank in charge for now, because they're just trying to line that up. And maybe they're speaking to people in the background. But he clearly hasn't got the full backing of the club. He certainly hasn't got the full backing of the fan base. Even though fans will feel sympathy with him tomorrow, he's still not going to have that. He's not got enough credit in the bank. And even if some of the outrage around this decision will be directed at the board tomorrow, Frank will still... No one's going to protect Frank in this, even though we feel sorry for him. It's just a mess of a situation. And the board are kind of feeding into the lions. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. What is going on at this football club? Please, someone let me know in the comments. I'm sure there'll be more news which we'll react to. Make sure to go and follow me on other socials and stuff, and TikTok and that, for a bit more of an instant reaction to things. And honestly, I've got no idea what this football club are playing at. Really don't. Really don't.